All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to BBL 360 Supercoach. Braddo here. Joining me tonight, we've got Guy. Hey, Guy.
Good evening, lads.
And we've got Rosco, who's been so kind to join us, even though he's been away on holidays. I hope that round didn't sting everybody too much. There was a few catastrophes floating around in there. A saying not going too well in the first double gamer. Hurt a lot of people with their vice captaining sort of options. Abbott not getting picked for the second one. Well, that hurt an awful lot of people, including Guy. How'd you cope with that one, Guy?
Yeah, it hurt using the loop after the first game. I think I'd surely he'll bag at least one or two in the second. I actually had Braddo as well. So I actually thought he was the one that was going to get dropped. But it ended up being Abbott, which virtually cost me 2 players because he was my captain. Still just cracked 1,040. So it wasn't the worst week. But yeah, it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I cracked 1,050 odd somewhere there. So it's not the worst week either. I think that's going to be a bit above par. So you should see some green arrows there, Guy. Yeah, and I'll probably still hanging around about that 300 spot, which I've been hanging at for the last couple of weeks with a score like that. Some of the ones that did me well were, I had the vice captain loop on Richo. So I stuck it there. Pity he did bugger all in the second game, but that was always going to be a danger. Particularly when Sydney bowled first, which is a bug up of my options there. Majib did me very well. I had him as well. A lot of people had Richo. That would have done Richo well. Yeah, Richo at all, Rosco?
No.
Oh, that's right.
I went for more batters than what I did bowlers for this game, and it just didn't pay off, unfortunately.
Yeah, you had a bad week, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a shit week. I think I got about 700. It was mud. Didn't have Sam's. Didn't have Sam's. Didn't have Majib. Didn't have Richo. My VC failed because I put it on Capital, who got 0 the first game, and then went and put it on to Stoinis, and Stoinis did all. All round, it was a shit round, and I'm expected to be dropping out of the top 1,000 after tonight once it opens up.
Oh, that's
unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought you were crazy selling Sam's to all those people.
Look, it was a bad move. Look, it was a shock. It was a bad decision selling Sam's over Stickety, that's for sure.
Yeah, you learn the hard way to don't trust the batters, and if you get an antipod, it's always.
It was more the break even more than anything. Like Stickety had the low break even and still didn't hit his break even, which was only 9, and he still didn't get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway,
what are we doing with Stoinis, fellas? What are we doing with this big Stoin?
You can't sell him, can you?
Well, this leads up to the strategy and what we're going to talk about, Brad.
Yeah.
The 3 teams who don't have any doubles coming up for a while, and the ones that we can probably sell, are the Brisbane Heat, the Melbourne Renegades now, and the Sydney Thunder. Apart from Sam's, who from the Thunder, and I probably will hold Nessa as well from the Heat. I think everyone else in those teams are worth selling. Your likes of Hales, your Rossos, your Gilks. But yeah, anyone from the Gades, I don't know, probably Richo might be the only one could be considering holding. But I think with all these doubles coming up at that value, you're probably worth flicking. Do you boys agree?
Mm. Yeah. I don't know if necessary is definitely a hold. I mean, he hasn't been great the last couple of games, so you could easily flick him on too if you needed to catch for elsewhere.
Just because he's got that duel and you can get him a bat, and a bat of 4 overs is a lot more reliable, I probably will hold him.
Yeah.
But yeah, onto your question, the next one with Stoinis, there's 3 teams on the double in round 9, so you can probably have 1 or 2 of them in your team sitting around. from the Stars, I've got Stoinis as well. You'll definitely hold him for that double.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else at the Stars you might look to pick up in the next few weeks?
I like Luke Wood. He's
Yeah.
a bat bowler, and he's been probably one of their best bowlers, if not the best bowler for them so far. To be honest with you,
I liked him as well, just because of that reason. You can get him at bat, and he'll bowl 4. The only thing is that his price is a bit expensive, and I think just in the next few single game weeks, I'm probably gonna go a different way and try and maybe pick him up in round 9 when you're flicking those Sixers players.
Yeah.
What about
but yeah.
Yeah. My only one would be Zampa. Would be one to look at, certainly, but I'll probably look closer to the double game itself to round 9. I don't think I'll be picking him up too early. What is he? He's 131,000 at the moment, and I think that's going to be coming down. He's only.
I had him at the start. I think in the first round when they had the double, a lot of people had him because he was, for that reason, cheap.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't know. I've just been, because he doesn't bowl the death overs. He just goes through those middle overs. If there's not a big score posted, there hasn't been too many big scores this BBL. They'll just look to work him around. So look, if he's cheap, you might pick him up. But again, he's not worth having in a single game week, especially when there's others, cheaper bowlers who you could probably hold for their upcoming double.
The only other one from the Stars that would be worth getting back is Joe Clark as well. We know what he's capable of. He'd be worth getting back for the double too, I think.
Yeah, but I think with Philippe and people have still got Inglis, but they might be going to Wade because they've got a double coming up first. I think if you do get Clark, it'd be more around that round 9.
Oh yeah, no, not now.
Yeah. The other one was Webster, who a lot of people jumped on. I don't think you can kind of go in now that Stoinis has taken his overs. So yeah, we'll probably move on from the Stars. The next one, the Scorchers. Now, a couple of people still have a few. If you do, you're definitely going to hold. Is there anyone you'd pick up from the Scorchers if you didn't have?
I mean, I'm just interested to see who replaces Agar in the team for the Scorchers. Because if they go for someone like a Bancroft instead, then there's good chance that Turner could even get an over or 2, and at his price, he could be worth picking up as well. I like Hardy too. I think Hardy's role might change a bit with Agar out of the team. But again, he's a bit expensive though, at about 150k or something though.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. If they're not a definite play in a single game week, like a Richo, then you could probably maybe pick them up a bit later, unless they're cheap. Like that's it. The one I was looking at was Hats. Just with that news that Agar was out, I thought Beauty Hats will be the main spinner. He's only about 80k, so you can just sit on my bench and then I can use him in that round 9 double. But the one that I'm looking at is Richo, because I sold him last week. Same with Brad. I know Brad's looking at Richo as well. He's put up another monster score. I held Ty instead and sold Richo. But I just think Richo in these single game weeks might be worth getting back, especially if you got Hussain or someone of big value to offload.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to have Richo in the lead up to their next double as well.
Yeah, I'll be doing Hussain to Richo. It makes sense. They'll both be about the same dollar because Richo will come down a bit this week. He didn't make his break even, so he'll drop a bit. So I'll jump back in now. So.
But I don't think he dropped much because I think he was only 10 points under his break even. So
it won't. Yeah, you're 100% right. It won't be much.
Yeah.
But it's I'm just saying that Hussain's about the same too. He's going to drop, a couple of grand or so, but it won't be too much. So they're both about on the same price point.
Rosco, with Faf leaving, do we know who's coming in to replace him?
Yep. So they've got they have got a replacement coming. I'll tell you in 1 second who it is. It's David Payne. His name is. He's a fast bowler from England.
Bowler replacing the banner.
So he's 105k bowler, David Payne.
Yeah. Okay. And just back to the Stars, who's replacing Trent Boult? 'Cause I know he was leaving in a couple of weeks.
I don't think they've got a replacement for him at this stage. I think they're still looking for a replacement. I believe Dave Hussey said the other day on an interview somewhere that they were still looking for a replacement to bring in.
What
All
other
right,
news you
well-
got there, Roscoe? Have you got any other comings and goings
Oh,
you
yeah,
can lead us
yeah.
into? We'll get back to your ones
So-
in a minute, Guy. While
Yeah.
Roscoe's on that, we might hit these.
So Sandu is out with a side strain, with Joel Davies coming into the squad for the Thunder. And from what I'm hearing, there's a good chance he could debut in that game at 42k bat bowl. So that's another one to keep an eye out for. We still don't have Ben McDermott, who's still out for the Hurricanes with his hamstring issue. But Matt Wade returns from suspension. They're still missing Stanlake, who's also out injured. Jake Weatherall will miss next 2 games for the Strikers as well. And then on top of that, the updates on the players who are leaving. So just the big news is obviously should have Khan. He leaves after round 7, which means he's not available for the Hurricanes double in round 9. So you'll get round 6. He'll be here for round 6 and round 7, and then he goes.
Does anyone replace him?
Yes, they've got Zach Crawley coming, and there's someone else coming too. For him, Ashraf's the other one coming because Jimmy Neesham plays his last game tomorrow night as well for them. And then Rashid Khan, his last game is round 8. Fash's last game is round 7, and Lish's last game is also round 7. And then David Payne comes in for the Scorchers to replace those guys. And they've also got another international that's already here who hasn't played a game yet as well, who's been in the squad but hasn't played a game yet. And then obviously the other ones, obviously, as we know, Ashton Agar and Renshaw getting called up into the test squad as well. So that's the news.
And just on that Scorchers one, it's if he was of any value, he would have been in the team already because the Lith, the international that's in there at the moment, hasn't been doing too well at all. I think he's dropped to about 50k or something ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's it. That's where we're at.
Any chance?
Yeah,
I was going to say, any chance of Cooper Connolly coming in for that Aston Agar one?
Absolutely, Roscoe? I think so. I think he's a good chance to come in. I think 42k bat bowl as well, and bowl some spin too, so he's a good option. Obviously the other one to keep an eye for, as said earlier, is keep an eye on Hardy and Turner, depending on who comes in for Agar, whether it's Connolly or whether it's Bancroft that comes in.
Yeah, I think Turner interests me the most out of those replacements.
Yep.
But the last team that had the double in round 9 was Adelaide. Most people should have Short, which they've kept. Is there anyone you could have for the single game weeks, or is there anyone you're looking to get on top of Short for their double?
Not really much. It interests me there. And Carlton's going to be gone, so he's irrelevant. Depends on what price Henry Thornton is. I might have a look at him, but depends on what he is. So if I'm going to bring him in, it won't be till the round of their double because he's still quite expensive.
Yeah,
but
he's over 200k.
But he's starting to drop a fair chunk of cash. So
and he's got a break even of 146, so he will leave. But the one that I've still kept from Adelaide, and I actually think he might be a solid buy because he's bound to take wickets soon, is the old Peter Siddle. He's hasn't scored well at all this tournament, but he's dropped down to 89k. So even as a bench player, he's bound to take some wickets soon. He's got quite a good role. You go back to last year where he won a lot of games for me towards the back end and killed it. So he could be an option as well. Again, not for a single game week, but just to have there on your bench for that round 9 clash.
Depending if he's still around the side then too. And Ben Menanti might be another one to look at for the double too. He's quite handy with the ball.
Well, Menanti's a spinner, so he'd probably replace more Rashid Khan than Peter Siddle. I think Siddle's job security is quite good.
He's
Oh
a
no,
captain.
I'm just saying that
He's a
Menente's
captain. He'll be real
chance to
good.
come in.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that Menente would be a good chance to come in to replace Rashid. So he's one to look at for the doubles
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
And
I
then
got Manetti on my radar. He's on my watch list. Rosco. He's yeah. He can hit a little ball too. He's not too bad.
He come back.
Yeah.
And all right, so we'll go to the main one, which we're looking at is the first double, where we've got the Sixers and the Canes. Firstly, with the Sixers, you'll obviously keep your likes of Felipe, your Abbotts, your Kerrs. Is there anyone you would sell and maybe get back? Or just sell and not get back because they haven't done you well?
Well, I think I've only got Abbott and Kerr and Philippi. So I'm probably going to be just hang on to them, to be honest with you. I don't think like they're worth probably selling now, to be honest with you. The only thing that worries me is this. Moses came out and said during the week that he's going to rotate his bowlers around, and we saw that happen tonight with Abbott getting rested. So there's a good chance that Kirk will get a rest, but then again, you could just put him on the bench. Think about it. Put him on the bench, especially if it's a single game round, and you can use him for your VC loop or a bench loop or something. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. I've got no Connolly or no loopers. So if someone does get a rest, it's not the worst for me. But the fact that you can get him a bat bowl, I think he is a must to keep.
Well, I've got Josh Brown, but there's a good chance he could play next round with Renshaw into the test side too. So I'm not really confident that he'll be an MPR for me next round.
Yeah, if you went a pod, say like me with Moses and Bird from the Sixers, I'm probably looking to sell them just because their job security is not bound for their double. Well, Moses is, but just how he got run out and underperformed just makes me want to get more bowlers in my bat spot. But yeah, Birdo I'll probably sell. So we'll probably go on to the Canes and the last team. First of all, which Canes are you looking at first to buy?
I'm on Riley Meredith, definitely. He's a must-have. I'll probably go Richo into him. That is Kane Richardson. Or I don't think Majid will make enough money to do a straight swap there yet, but yeah, Kane Richardson probably for Riley Meredith. And if you don't have Dooley, well then he certainly is one that I think everybody should be seriously looking at. Still got a chunk of cash to make too yet, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got Shadab. Oh, sorry.
No, go Roscoe. Here's the one I was
just going to say I've got Shadab, but he's no good for the double. But I'll hang on to him, and then I'll obviously be targeting Matty Wade. I'll probably get him in. I like Meredith. I think he's starting to hit some form, and yeah, call me crazy, but I think I'm going to jump on Darcy Short because surely he's got to come good eventually, and he's just about to drop more cash. But I'll probably pick him up around about round 9 for the double because he will be under 100k by round 9, which is just crazy. You can bring him into your team and just put him on as a bench loop. If he doesn't go well the first game, don't play him. Simple as that. You're not going to get him that cheap again.
Yeah, well, the two that I had planned were Shadab and Meredith. Shadab because he's -2 BE, but just because he's not playing the double now, I don't think you can get him. I was going to go early because you could have played him in those single game weeks. Meredith's got a BE of 30, 130k. It'll be almost a straight swap for Hales or someone of that price.
I still think Shadab's worth picking up. I know he's not going to be here for the double, but I still think he's worth picking up for the next 2 games. He's capable of pulling out hundreds in single games. And you could easily just trade him out when it comes to round 9.
I'll look at it. Just because they play the first game, I only wanted to use 2 trades and then maybe save one either for a loop because I don't have enough or just for a trade like a Hats or a Perth player, like a Richo, something like that. So I'd probably only use 2 anyway. Meredith will definitely be one. The other 3, you mentioned Short. He's got a high BE. I know he's cheap. The other 2 I wanted were Ellis and Dermy, but they also have high BEs as well. So you could definitely wait a week. So I might try and see if I can go Gilks up to a Wade, something like that, and pick up Wade and Meredith. But yeah, I'll definitely pick up a couple Not too sure yet. But yeah, that rounds out all the teams. Any questions, Brad, did we have?
Yeah, we got one from a Patrick Ball. Patrick, g'day, Patrick. I hope you're watching away. I hope you're going well at Supercoach this year. Patrick asks, besides Sam's, Matty Short, Hussein, and Shabad Khan, what all-rounders should I get? Well, I'll kick this one off quickly before I throw to you guys. Shabad Khan and Hussein are going, so you can probably, Patrick, rule those two out. So besides Sam's and Short, what two other all-rounders, boys, do you reckon?
Oh, you got Kerr. Kerr's definitely got to be there, especially with his double. I like Stoinis as well. He's got a double coming up. He's cheap if you don't have him. He'll definitely have a score sooner or later. And yeah, you've got Nessa and Luke Wood as well, who are all-rounders who can definitely go high on any given day.
Yeah.
Even Webster too, now that he's a duel as well. But obviously he's not going to bowl much, so that's the only thing.
Yeah, he's not bowling. And the other one, Maddo, he's got no form with the stick, but he has picked up the bowl. He has picked up some overs, so if he drops in price, he could be worth a look.
He bowled one over, okay? That's it.
Very good. Rosco, did you find any of those other? Oh, you probably didn't.
Matty Gibson wants to know who's the best pod for the single game weeks. That's part one of the question. Best enough to get is part of two of his question. So who do we think is the best pod for a single game week coming up?
Ooh.
Not the best, but the hottest option, I think, would be a Henry Thornton, even though he's 200k. That's why no one would go him. And he could just come out and bag a load of wickets. It's a bit crazy. I probably wouldn't do it. But someone like that would be.
Well, I'm going to suggest one, but he may not be a pod for much longer. And that's Benny Dwarshus. That's what I'm going to suggest as a pod, because he is at the moment at about 2.8%. What about you, Brad? You got anything?
Yeah, it's a tough one as far as pods go at this stage. I mean, we're all going to try to stack up our team as best we can for these single gamers. But some of the pods, you'd be looking at. Look, I think Ellis is massively under-owned, and he will get some good scores. I know his break even's a little high at the moment, but there's a lot to be said for jumping on Ellis. And he does bowl those death overs that I love, as long as they're bowling death overs. It's always good. Luke Wood, but I don't think he's going to be much of a pot either, but that, a lovely all-rounder, can swap, you can bench loop him. It's got good versatility, so, and he's also been put into those death overs. So there's two that I think probably Ellis and Wood.
Yeah, he's asked for the best enough to get in. Now, in brackets, he's got Conley. I wouldn't be going Conley if you want enough, because there's a good chance he'll probably play.
The only two, Davies and Connolly, because they have to be dual and they have to be bottom price, and they're the only two.
But they're both. There's a good chance both of them could play this round, though. That's the only thing.
Even if they do, they make money at worst, and then they might drop out after a game. So they're going to be enough for the majority. I just think. Yeah, they have to be dual.
If you want one that's a bit more expensive, go Cameron Green, because he's not going to play at all, and he's about 62k. Bat bowl dual. So if you've got the extra cash, maybe go him. If you want somebody who's definitely enough, you probably want someone from the Scorchers or the Thunder, because they play the later games pretty much most rounds. So they'll be your best options.
That's actually a really good point there, Roscoe, on the Cam Green one. That's probably one of your safest ones, because there's a bunch of young fellas at the moment that look like they're all have a high chance of getting a run. And there's going to be a lot of people tempted to jump on them, but they might only get a run for one game. So be wary of that one. But yeah, there's a few 42k players that over the next few weeks, I think, that are going to get a sneaky run here or there.
Yeah, Luke Wood just on that, sitting at about 10%. Andrew Ty's dropped down to 7% as well in ownership. So you'd definitely go a bowler on that bloke's question, though, on the pod.
Yeah, I
Right,
can't
any
believe
other
that. I can't
questions?
believe that it's high. I mean, I'd have him every day of the week. Death bowler, love it.
Any other questions?
No, I can't find any there. That's the only two that I've stumbled across. But thanks for those two. Thanks, folks. None from Bowsy this week, but that's all right.
And
all
I just
right.
want to give a quick shout out to one of our boys, Timmy O'Connor, for doing the Sydney to Hobart, or attempting it anyway. They lost the steering, but there was a good effort. Had to be rescued from sea. So shout out to Timmy.
Good on you, Timmy.
No, big shout out to Timmy. I know Roscoe's been talking to him a bit, but there's a massive effort there, mate, and we're all glad that you're safe. We're all asking a lot of questions and trying to find out how you were going. So, rapt to know that you're okay. You're back on dry land. Is he back on dry land yet?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's got a beer in hand.
Yes, he said he was having several of them tonight.
I bet he is. I bet he is. All right, captains, vice captains, where are we going? You're just sticking with the tried and true, Sam's for the next couple of double gamers.
I don't know.
Single games?
So,
Oh no.
I don't know, mate. I couldn't say until I do my trades. I'm not sure at this stage what I'm going to be doing in regards to BCNC until I sort them out.
Yeah, you got to work out your loops as well and that kind of thing. But yeah, Sam's is a good option. Short, all those people with a good role are a good option.
Yeah, short at home against who are they playing again? Can't remember. Who are they playing tomorrow night?
They're versing Hobart versus Thunder.
Okay, so they strikers are playing Stars at Adelaide tomorrow night.
Yeah, so you could go Stoinis as well.
Yeah, probably go Matty Short in that one. VC.
Yeah, well, Sam's plays the first game, so most people will have a VC on him.
Yeah,
or a shut up Khan if they've got him.
But if you get that's what I might do. I might do should have been to Matty Short. Probably a good shout out.
Surely nobody's ever going to be captaining Stoinis again, Roscoe. No one's going to do that again.
I'm not doing that ever again. I'd be lucky to make it in my team ever again, let alone be the fucking captain.
Oh, tragic. That's cruel. Well, I'm only laughing because I've been there before. I've done it myself, something crazy like that.
Last week was worse. I had Nessa last week. At least one has scored more than him.
Oh, just tragic. But yeah, it looked like Sam's will be very popular as a I wouldn't mind Meredith as a vice captain loop actually down. Where are they playing?
At this point in the season, it's not too bad to go a pod option and try and jab.
Meredith's playing tomorrow at Albury.
Wonder what that's going to be like for a fast bowler. I might do a little bit of research there and if it looks
might be a small ground.
Yeah. But yeah, that could be a real nice pot option there. And then you could either go Richo or Short for your captain option. One of those things. All right. Anything more to add, Guy?
No, I think that'll do us.
All right. Roscoe?
I just wanted to say thanks. Good happy new year to everyone. All the best. We won't be doing another pod now until probably after round 7. In the lead up to the next double. 2 single games in a row, so we won't be doing another